We are your slaves, they said. He goes, not slaves, not slaves, not slaves. Indentured servants. You're my indentured servants. You're choosing this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read the Bible so that you don't have to. Now, this is the last chapter of the book of Genesis. We have finished one of the books of the Bible. I should get confetti, but we read 50 chapters of the Bible. That means we've done 50 episodes, we've done countless shorts, and we've done a bunch of quick questions for Christians and all sorts of other fun stuff. And I appreciate everyone that's subscribed, liked the videos, commented, engaged at all with what I'm doing here. It's been really interesting to look at the Bible again after being raised in it, if you will, to really kind of sort of go, what does it actually say? I know people would say, no, you don't know what it actually says because you don't have the Holy Spirit whispering in your ear what is actually being said. But I think we are getting a pretty good idea. I hate to say it, but it's propaganda and Hebrew folktales about certain people, well, the patriarchs of the nation of Israel. We're going to read chapter 50. Jacob has just passed away, and this chapter opens right in that moment. I did look ahead. If you haven't subscribed and you're coming in on chapter 50 somehow and haven't subscribe now, like the video, leave a comment, be my friend, join the conversation, and enjoy the next decade of Bible that we will be doing here. I can't wait to do a short book. You know, one of the short ones like Joel, namesake. Genesis chapter 50. Joseph threw himself upon his father and wept over him and kissed him. Then Joseph directed the physicians in his service to embalm his father Israel. So the physicians embalmed him, taking a full 40 days, for that was the time required for embalming. And the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. The Egyptians, why do they care? When the days of mourning had passed, Joseph said to Pharaoh's court, "If I have found favor in your eyes, speak to Pharaoh for me. Tell him, my father made me swear an oath and said, I am about to die. Bury me in a tomb dug for me in the land of Canaan. Now let me go up and bury my father. Then I will return." Pharaoh said, "Go up and bury your father as he made you swear to do." That's his accent. Don't judge me, that's his accent now. He's had 5 accents at this point. So Joseph went up to bury his father. All Pharaoh's officials accompanied him, the dignitaries of his court, and all the dignitaries of Egypt, besides all the members of Joseph's household and his brothers and those belonging to his father's household, which will be a lot of people. Only their children and their flocks and herds were left in Goshen. Whoa. Chariots and horsemen also went up with him. It was a very large company. I love that it says that. It was a very large. Did you get that list? There were a lot of people. Like if you had to do a film about it, which you would never shoot this scene because like who cares? But if you were going to do a film about it, oh my goodness, the amount of extras you'd need is just insurmountable. Absolutely. Can I say that word? It would be insurmountable. And it would be insurmountable because, I've been joking, but it would be insurmountable because there's way too many people. But that is what, Jacob is, he's Israel. And so he is going to be honored. They're going to, like this book, this story, I don't think Genesis is at all factual. I'm pretty sure it's all legend, myth, folklore stuff. And I think that if you look into it, the scholars probably agree. But in this fiction, we want Jacob to be so celebrated. I mean, this guy is the guy, right? Like everyone came. When they reached the threshing floor of Atad near the Jordan, they lamented loudly and bitterly. And there Joseph observed a 7-day period of mourning for his father. When the Canaanites who lived there saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, "The Egyptians are holding a solemn ceremony of mourning. What's that all about?" That is why the place near the Jordan is called Abel Mizraim. So Jacob's sons did as he had commanded them. They carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre, which Abraham had bought as a burial place from Ephron the Hittite, along with the field. After burying his father, Joseph returned to Egypt together with his brothers and all the others who had gone with him to bury his father. And somebody had broken into their house. They didn't lock, they locked the doors, but it's a tent, so they unzipped it, and they actually stole all the cattle because nobody was there. Nobody was left. So they actually took a pile of stuff because they knew where they were going. That doesn't happen, technically. That technically isn't listed amongst what happens, but that would make a pretty cool story, wouldn't it? When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him? Didn't he already pick on you guys a bit? And also, didn't he say something like nice things? Didn't he cry over you? Like, come on." But they're like, no. Everyone around here is pretty petty. Everyone does tricks, and we're all pretty petty, and we're all monsters. So he could screw us over. And I agree with them. I'd be nervous too. So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what we are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servant of the God of your father." When their message came to him, Joseph wept. I think he wept because he's like, do they really need to lie? Because I don't remember Israel leaving that message. I have a feeling that this is more manipulation, right? Like the brothers are talking about dad. Remember dad? You love dad. Remember how much dad loved you? Well, he said you should forgive us. I don't think that ever happened. He said that you should forgive them, and then also servants of God. God, bring God into it. Bring God into it. Always invoke God. You'll get away with anything. God also said you should, and Dad thinks you should forgive us, and he mentioned God. So do with that what you will, Joseph. And Joseph's like, why do they gotta lie? Why do they gotta say these lies to me? Like, can't we just have a conversation like brothers? His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. He goes, "Not slaves, not slaves, not slaves. Indentured servants. You're my indentured servants. You're choosing this." We don't have slaves unless they choose. We don't call them slaves. It's indentured servants when it's slaves. When they say slaves. So it's a good kind of slavery. But Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children." And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. But God intended it for good. And then what was the good? It actually says it. And I didn't know that it actually said it. To accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. But as we've seen in previous chapters, that's not that simple. There wasn't a perfect just saving lives, carte blanche, like, here you go, guys. We still own you now. Like, we've saved your lives, but not really. We've taken your lives. We have your lives now. They belong to Pharaoh. Your land, everything you owned, and you yourselves as people now belong to Pharaoh. That was the good that God intended. And these are words that are important. You intended to harm me. Your intention, what you were choosing to do, what you wanted to see happen, was the harm. God, who is above the brothers, intended something too. And his intention is more powerful than our intention. And so his intention supersedes. So he made these people do it. He infringed on their free will to cause them to do it because that was always his intention. And that intention was a country full of servants, of indentured slaves. That was his intention. It says it right there. Yes, saving many lives, but don't forget how that happened. Making a nation destitute. Thanks, God. Thank you. Thanks again. Nailed it again. Great plan. Again, God could have intended to not do a famine. He intended what happened, which was not good, really, on any level. So either we can look at this story, and I really want to put this button on it, we can look at this story as a God who is malevolent, or an idiot, or has poor foresight, or just doesn't realize that these types of things are damaging and that maybe we shouldn't have people who are slaves. Or we can see it as a story written by people who think this is good but haven't thought it through. They just haven't considered that this is actually a horrible thing. It was good for one guy, Pharaoh. It was good for Jeff Bezos. It wasn't good for everyone. So what are you talking about? I would honestly prefer to believe that this is a fictional story written by people, just so that we don't have some sort of boneheaded, malevolent, horrible God that is thinking that this is good. Joseph stayed in Egypt along with all his father's family. He lived 110 years and saw the third generation of Ephraim's children. Also, the children of Machir, son of Manasseh, were placed at birth on Joseph's knees. Then Joseph said to his brothers, I am going to die, but God will surely come to your aid and take you up out of this land to the land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Joseph made the sons of Israel swear an oath and said, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up from this place. So Joseph died at the age of 110, and after they embalmed him, he was placed in a coffin in Egypt. And that's the end of Genesis. That's the end of Joseph and the end of Genesis. I wonder what happens between this moment and where we come into Exodus, because I feel like Exodus opens with them being slaves. So, but then again, I've just watched the Ten Commandments. I don't actually know, I don't remember what actually happens in the first few chapters of Exodus. But we're going to find out, because after the next episode, we will start into Exodus, a brand new book in Joel Reed's Bible. I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I can't wait. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, you have to subscribe. Like this video, comment on it. These are the things I say every time. But it really would help the channel grow. And guys, we've already done a book. So I'm doing it. We're seeing it through. We're reading the whole Bible. And you tell me that it's not somewhat interesting. All right, some of it's very boring. There was lots of lists of names. And the lists of names are incredibly dull, but there's also some interesting points in there too. Join me next time. We're going to do the recap of Genesis, just sort of like going over it. I don't know what that's going to look like. And then we'll be on to Exodus. So until then, see you later.